Welcome to the Success Journey Show. Let's travel together through the lives of individuals on the road to success.
Hey, what's going on, travelers? It is Ricky Ventures and Marlon Madden, and we're back with you again for another episode of the Success Journey Show. What's going on, Marlon? How you doing today, man?
Oh, man, another day, another dollar, like they say, or $1.50, depends on where you at. So, I'm here just chilling, man. How you doing?
The extra $1.50 going in your gas tank, man, with these gas prices going up. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm just like, I don't pay attention to it much. I'm just going to fill up. And I remember back in the day, it used to really like, oh, man, gas is $3. Oh, man, and now it's just like, whatever. What is the gas? Okay, just put it in a car. I got $20. I got $20 in my hand, or I got $40. I'm putting in there. So whatever I get for $40, that's pretty much minimum what you can spend it on a gas tank now. That's how much I get. So yeah, it was, and it dawned on me to today. I was listening to the radio. They're like, yeah, gas prices are up. I was like, oh really? Oh, I didn't know. But anyways. Yeah. Man, I'm doing good, dude. Just, man, what's going on in my world? A whole lot is going on. We came back from our conference a few weeks ago, and I don't think we even, we did have an episode that we shot during the conference, but I don't think we shot one after the conference.
No.
I'm not sure. Yeah. So
I don't think we did any after the conference.
I don't even know, right? So, it was amazing. We had a great time. We were out there, met a lot of people that are really excited about what we're doing. And that was just affirmation, dude. Like being there in that space, knowing all the work we put in behind the scenes, and just receiving the affirmation that we received, it was just like, it was overwhelming at some point. I was like, wow, this is big, man. This is big. And it just encouraged you and give you more strength to keep pushing, keep going after goals, keep doing things, because, you don't know when it's going to, the fruit is going to bear, right? But if you just keep planting those seeds, man, it's bound to grow, man. Nurture it, it's bound to grow. So it was exciting. We had a good time. It was cold. Never go to Chicago in the wintertime again. It's funny, I saw a conference today online, and they're having two this year. And guess where one of them is going to be held?
Chicago.
In Chicago in March. I was like, that definitely ain't happening. I don't care how good that conference is. I would not find myself in Chicago again in the wintertime. But it was good. What about you, man?
That conference was, you talk about the affirmation and stuff in the preparation, but what I was so, flabbergasted, excited, whatever adjective you want to use about the whole thing was that I saw some of the people's team and their engine was pretty big. Mm-hmm. And when I looked at the engine that we were getting the same output with a smaller engine, right? Mm-hmm. So in the world of racing, I never raced before, but I think if I had a small engine and I'm still competing with the guys that have a big engine and still get the same output, the same times on the track, that's a win, because then I wouldn't have to put so much more money into my engine as other people. So I was just, that for me was one of the biggest things that I saw, that our engine is small, but we're still getting the same outputs. And that was just affirmation for me that you don't always have to have 5,000 people behind you. It helps to have different people strategically placed in other places, because then you don't have the workload on yourself. However, if you can accomplish a lot of the stuff by yourself, it pays off and it pays dividends.
Yep. It was great, man. It was, like Marlon said, a lot of guys, big outfits, a lot of marketing going behind them. You see that they lease out the huge spaces and all that kind of stuff. And
even our space was a blessing.
Oh yeah. We ain't gonna give that secret away in case they give. Yeah. I guess they
go shoot us down the next time.
Yeah, next time. But it was a blessing, a huge blessing. Shout out to the conference for for the spot that we reserved, but it turned out to be even more of a blessing than we thought.
Yes, definitely.
Nah, but man, talk about it. We're going to have a great guest coming today. But one other aspect that I really, really enjoyed about the trip is just the company that we were out there with.
Correct.
No knock to anybody that, partying and drinking and everything like that, whatever, it's all good. It was just a matter of like, we were good. After it was done, all right, let's get back to the hotel, down to business. All right, we'll make some food, boom, boom. Talk about what we're going to do the next day. Got the business, had some fun, jokes, laughs, stayed up, talk, and then we're right back at it the next day. We didn't have to deal with a hangover. We didn't have to deal with any of that stuff.
Right.
And we had an amazing time, and that right there was huge to me, man, just knowing that you're with the crew that, you guys are all in one accord and kind of focus and while you're out there. So, but yeah, man, it was a phenomenal time. We'll have Jay put some photos in there and maybe even some videos he has of there in this episode, so you guys can see what was going on. But man, great time and more to come, much more to come on that. So, but yeah, we're gonna get to our guests, and we are. But before we do, I want to always remind you, go to our website, thesuccessjourneyshow.com, thesuccessjourneyshow.com. You'll see a facelift on our new platform. If you haven't seen it already, our products are still there. They're still there. We still have some products, guys.
We do.
We want to sell out, right? We still have some. For those that are wondering if we didn't have anymore, we still have some, right? And we just definitely want you guys to catch up on our previous podcasts, all the whole nine. Share our podcast, let other people around the world know. We are in 90 countries now, and we hit 50 states. 90 countries, 50 states. That's huge. That's huge for us. So,
that's huge.
Yeah, this message is going around the world, literally around the world. So, All right, without further ado, we're going to go and grab our guest. All right, travelers. All right. Like I said, we are coming to the most important and our favorite part of the show. We like talking about our lives and what we've gone through and what we've been doing the last week, but we really, really enjoy this part where we get to talk to a guest about the behind the scenes of their journey. And today we have none other than Michele Molitor. Did I pronounce that right, Michele?
Yes, sir. Good. You got it all good. It's been butchered 1,000 different ways, but you got it.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I'm on a streak. I'm on a winning streak right now. I think it's like 50 episodes of pronouncing the names right. So I'm doing good. But thank you so much for joining us today, taking some time to spend with us. Why don't you share with our travelers just a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So I have been a professional coach now for the last 20 years and a professional hypnotherapist for the last 5. And I combine those two modalities, those two sets of tools into what I call rapid rewiring, because in a relatively short amount of time, 30 to 90 days, I'm able to work with clients to help them literally identify the root cause of their limiting beliefs, their fears that have got them stuck and overtaken by self-doubt, and literally build new neural pathways in their brain for greater happiness, greater success, greater well-being, and peace of mind, so that they can go and live their most authentic lives with greater peace of mind and health and happiness. And who doesn't want more of that, right? So I totally love what I do. I'm super passionate about it, and have the joy of working with people worldwide, because I've been doing it on Zoom a long time before Zoom was so in vogue.
Oh, love it. So, coach, we've had a few coaches on our show that range from athletic coaches to business coaches to what other coach have we had on here? I think that's two. I think those are the two. But we have one health coach, right?
Health coach, yep. We have fitness instructors, athlete. We have a right away.
Yeah. So as you describe your journey and your profession as a coach, can you just share a little bit more descriptively, like how someone, in a situation where someone would need to come and reach out to you for your services, like how would they say, oh, I need to talk to Michele, right?
Sure. So let me roll back the tape a little bit here, Ricky, because in my former life, I was a creative director in web development. And the height of the .com boom, I got picked, packed, and shipped from across the country to San Francisco to work for a hot .com startup. We were going to IPO the week I started. I had a golden ticket. I thought for sure I was going to be a millionaire, but the market crashed instead. But I kept toiling and building out this team. And I made some hires of two gentlemen who made it abundantly clear that they really didn't like working for a woman. And they really thought they were a lot smarter than I was. And they told me so on many occasions. And all of that really started to erode my sense of self-confidence and my sense of self-esteem, and created a massive case of imposter syndrome. And ultimately it led to me getting fired. And it was devastating to me. Devastating. I was like, deer in the headlights. What do I do now? And so back then, coaching was a brand new industry. And my uncle was like, well, why don't you get a coach? I was like, what? He's like, yeah, there's these things called career coaches now. I was like, okay, where do I find one? So through the magic of the internet, I found my first coach and hired her. And in the process of being coached, it was like all the cells in my body kind of came into alignment, and my spirit knew like this was the work I was supposed to be doing. So I took a leap of faith, and I got trained and certified and started my company, Nectar Consulting, in 2001. Oh, wow. And I've been doing it ever since. And so years. To define coaching, I have done career coaching and leadership coaching. It's all life coaching wrapped up with different labels, because essentially at the heart of every leader, there's a human being. Right. Yeah, at the heart of every business, there's a human being, somebody who created the idea and birthed this service, this mechanism out into the world. And it's this part of us that gets in our way, right? Our head gets in our way of how successful we will be or we won't be. And so over these last 20 years, I've been very much a learning junkie. Can I have another workshop, please? Let me stuff my brain with more information. And I've learned so much about human dynamics and neuroscience and psychology, and so much about what makes us tick, because I wanted to know, well, why did I not have self-confidence, but my brother is infinitely confident, right? We grew up in the same household. My parents are still married. They're coming up on their 63rd anniversary in like 2 weeks.
Wow. Praise God.
You know, and I'm like, what? I don't get it. And so I've dug really deep into what makes someone confident, what creates imposter syndrome, what creates self-doubt, and how that manifests in our body, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And on my quest several years ago now, 6 years ago now, I discovered hypnotherapy called Rapid Transformational Therapy, or RTT. And in doing this work for myself, it profoundly changed my life in a matter of weeks. I was like, what? So I went on to get trained and certified in that. And I've also been trained in another flavor of hypnotherapy called heart healing as well. And I combine these different modalities together, which literally enables me to go talk to your subconscious, have a conversation with it, and find out what's at the root cause that created that fear, that belief about yourself that says, oh, who am I? I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I can't believe in myself. Whatever those limiting beliefs, that negative thought loops that are playing in your mind. And so when we can get at the root of them, we can eliminate the emotional charge, right? Because we've all had bad stuff that's happened to us in our lives, right?
Yeah.
You know, you got kicked off the team, you were bullied, someone made fun of you, you were teased. It happens to all of us. But what makes a difference though is how we internalize that situation and what we believe about ourselves in the process. So if we take those words to be the truth of who we are, oh, you're not good enough, who are you, you don't belong, then your subconscious absorbs it. And as a child in particular, we're not even conscious of it, and it becomes the operating system in the background, just like in your computer, that runs you through the world. So you're operating from this limiting belief of, oh, I'm not good enough. And so you're constantly proving yourself. And that's where the self-doubt comes in, the fear, the lack of confidence. So those are all the things that I help people address so that they can reclaim their confident self. They can make a stand for who they want to be now as a grown adult, instead of based on the mindsets and the belief systems of a little kid, oftentimes, right?
So let me ask this. So fear alone is enough to stop somebody from doing whatever they want to do, right? But now you're talking about going deeper, right? The peeling back the onions of that fear to find out what is contributing to that fear subconsciously.
Yes.
So now I want to know, have you, when you dig up something that sometimes something that's subconscious, some people are not really, they're fearful, but they don't know they're fearful. When you dig up that subconscious, have that ever put another block to somebody? Because now they're digging up something that they weren't even conscious about. Now that's coming to the forefront, and then they have to deal with that even before they could deal with that fear. How do you approach that one?
That's a great question, Marlon, and I get asked that often. And what I know of working with, I don't know, thousands of people worldwide, is that our mind will let us go to the places that it's ready for us to go, and not a moment before we're ready to go there. So I've done years and years and years of personal development, and I continue to do it because as you peel off an onion layer skin, there's something new underneath, right? Like, oh, I got that fear out of the way. Oh, look at that. Now I can see how this other situation, this other event in my life created another fear that's below that. So it becomes easier and easier to process it and move it out of the way. But it still can be very challenging, confronting, surprising. You know, just last year, I discovered another layer of my own journey that I wasn't even aware of. I was like, well, that explains a lot. Right. And so when I'm working with clients, it's a very safe container, right? It's all confidential. And they can show up fully for who they are in that moment, happy, sad, a hot mess, not running out their face. It doesn't matter, right? Because when they get to that root event and they can look at it through a different set of lenses, it's so empowering. They're taking back their power because they're no longer that helpless little child, right? So for example, I had a client who was physically and emotionally abused as a child by his father. He went on to build a very successful multi-million-dollar company before he was 30, out of his college dorm room, until his health collapsed and he had severe adrenal fatigue. And he came to me even after he'd been doing lots of work with doctors and naturopathic doctors to heal himself. And through our work together over 90 days, he happened to have blood work done right before and then right after. And what we got to was this constant driving to be super successful was based on this emotional abuse of not being good enough and feeling abandoned and feeling abused. And he had decided, oh, I'm just going to have to do it myself. I'm going to have to crush it because I'm all alone here. And when we got to that and he was able to unravel that and see it more clearly, we eliminated the emotional charge around it. It didn't change the history of his life. It just changed the emotional story around it.
Yeah.
So he went from having this really potent, negative, painful story to, oh, this is just the history of me. And that's super empowering. And he's gotten his health back and built another multi-million-dollar company again, you know? So it's so powerful what our minds will allow us to do. Your subconscious is 90+% of your brain power. And it remembers everything that's ever happened to you. It's all neatly stored in the filing system there, right? And your mind will literally wrap blankets around those painful moments because you're not able to effectively process those emotions at that point in time. So for example, I had something really, really painful happen to me when I was like 6 years old. I had no recollection of it until my brother jokingly brought it up over Christmas dinner one time about 15 years ago. And I was like, what? He's like, oh yeah, you don't remember when mom did blah, blah, blah. I was like, no. He's like, oh yeah. And I was like, wow, okay, that explains why I have abandonment issues and this and that and the other thing. But prior to that, I had no recollection of it because it had all been shielded from me, from myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm a very, I don't know how to put the word, right, to describe myself. So I'm a person that I like to dwell on the happy times, right? And I've found that a lot of people, sometimes it's hard for me to understand when someone's going through something, why they don't tap into that happy place. So they dwell, yes, I understand that there's trauma, but for me, I've always asked every coach that come on here, we've had people that are doing their doctorate in psychology. We've had all different kind of counselors, from school counselors, people that help. We have all array of people. And my question to them is always, why, probably a bad word to associate it with, but good trauma. Why don't people tap into that good trauma in times when they're low? Well, have you found a reason why they haven't, why they just don't do that?
Yes. And that's a great question, right? And that takes mental mastery, right? And so it's important to recognize that your brain likes what's familiar. So if you think of someone growing up in the family, in the dynamics that they grew up in, think of it as a fish in a fish bowl, right? There's the plant, there's the little sandy castle, there's the bubbly machine, right? That's just what's in their environment. And if that water that they're swimming in is toxic, because you've got toxic parents, emotionally unavailable parents, abusive parents, siblings, grandparents, whatever it is, if there's someone in that environment that has a lot of their own challenges in life, that's just the water you're swimming in. It's just what you know. There's no way for you to know anything else because that's your fishbowl, right? And so if you weren't taught to see the bright side of things, if you weren't taught to constantly look for the goodness in things, it's very easy to get caught in the negativity of what's happened in your life and the woe is me and oh my gosh. And that's why so many people struggle with depression, with anxiety, with addiction, because they haven't been taught how to focus on the positive. So even if working with someone who has addiction, for example, and you say to them, Marlon, well, just focus on the good things in your life. What's a good thing that's happened in your life, friend, before you became addicted? And they're like, oh, and they might find a memory and they might be able to focus on it. But the part of your brain called your amygdala, which is your fight, flight, or freeze mechanism in your brain, it's designed to protect you and to keep you alive and on the planet. And if your amygdala, or Amy, I like to call her Amy loves you. She just wants to keep you safe. But if you told Amy somewhere along the line, no, don't do that because that's not safe. Because if I think that happy thought, then terror will rain down on me from my dad or my mom or whatever. It's not safe. So I can't do that. And so you get caught in that thinking pattern, which then builds really strong neural pathways in your mind, right? So even if you try to step away from that old thinking pattern and replace it, your mind wants to go back to what's familiar. So the power of what I do is by getting it at a subconscious level, you're able to eliminate those emotional charges and replace them at this deeper level. Now, the secret sauce of what I do is I create what I call a transformation recording. And this is about a 30-minute recording. It's filled with empowering thoughts and beliefs and new habits for your brain to absorb. I mix in binaural beat music. It's really relaxing. And then you listen to it every night as you go to sleep. Yeah. And even as you're falling asleep, even if you're completely asleep, your brain is always listening, right? Yeah. So your subconscious is listening and taking it in and it's absorbing it like a sponge. Yeah. And just like listening to a song on the radio over and over, you can remember the song words from 30 years ago, right? Yeah, it's the same thing here. So we're building those new neural pathways in your mind that then become the new go-to pattern when you hit that wall of stress.
Yeah. You know, I tried just a little side note. I tried the whole play something while you're sleeping to see how it impacted me. I was studying for a test and I and I played the review material in my, while I was asleep. I was like, man, I know I'm going to ace this test. Yeah. And it didn't work. It didn't work on that level, guys. You still got to go study, right? But definitely music. I definitely know the music, the power of. I used to be a very, very close supporter and follower of Zig Ziglar, and that's when I really started learning the power of self-talk, and really just stay. He'll teach on like standing in front of the mirror every morning, every evening, and repeating a phrase to yourself about who you are and really starting to empower yourself. And I remember making a audio file of it, of me saying it and putting it on my phone, and I'll go to sleep with that as well. And have that playing and playing and playing. And like you said, you'd be amazed how over time, it's not one of those quick fix things. Like people think, oh, I did it, 2 nights. No, it was one of those things that you keep doing.
No, you got to do it. You got to do it. I always tell clients at least 21 to 30 days, if not longer. Right. And after a while, your brain's going to go, oh, I got it. I don't need to listen to that anymore.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
But it is super, super empowering, despite all of the work I had done until I discovered this hypnotherapy. I didn't realize that I had an I'm not enough conversation. It never occurred to me until the idea dropped into my head and I was like, oh, and it just like, boom, it just hit me in my heart. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Right. Yeah. And so I would drive. I live here in the San Francisco Bay Area and I used to work with schools in different ways. And I'd be driving around town, and it takes you an hour to get from here to there, whatever. And I'd sing this little made up song. I am enough. I'm enough, right? I can't sing, but that's all right. And I'm a terrible songwriter, but I was very entertained by myself.
Yeah.
And it worked, right? Because as they say, neurons that fire together wire together. So you can, as you're listening while you sleep, that's one way to do it. You can also do it while you're walking or on the treadmill or working out. Because the more you're engaging your physical body as you're listening to these types of recordings, it helps wire faster. So it's powerful stuff.
Hey, you're listening to the Success Journey Show. Just a reminder, follow us on our social media at The Success Journey Show on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Also, you can check us out on our website at thesuccessjourneyshow.com. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Talk to us about the hypnosis or the hypnotherapy, because you got to debunk the myths that are out there. The people at the carnival, just with the clock.
No, it's not that, Ricky. It's not that. So essentially, gentlemen, I have a very calm and soothing voice. And as you listen to the sound of my voice, you can get more and more relaxed in the place that you are. And so I do it all over Zoom. There's no watches involved. There's no spinning things. It's just me talking and having a conversation with you at this deeper level. And, I get folks who are like, I had one gentleman, no one's ever been able to hypnotize me. I'm like, okay. And by the end, I literally was like clapping and shouting at him to get him to come out of this hypnotic state because he was so deep. It was really fun. Wow. I'm like, so you couldn't get hypnotized. He's like, huh, you're good. I was like, well, I know what I'm doing.
I'm enough.
Exactly.
No, I love it. And it just talking about going to the root cause of our actions. Can you share with us about just giving us as people taking time to create space for silence? Because I know with all these distractions, you can't listen to your subconscious. You can't listen to your inner self when you're just bombarded by YouTube and Instagram or social media, everything out there. Anything you want to do at the very moment you think of it, you can do it, right? How do you talk to people about just that silence?
Silence is golden. Taking time to be quiet with yourself, to just literally pause, put down, step away from your devices and just be quiet, because in that stillness, in that space in between the breath, that's the place where your intuition can drop in, your higher self can drop in and guide you. I always like to ask a question before I go into a meditation. What's needed now? And just keep focusing on that. Like as I breathe, what's needed now? Breathe, what's needed now? And it just gives me the stillness and the quiet for my intuition to drop in the nuggets, right? I've got a new self-doubt finder quiz that I created, and the idea came to me and sitting in meditation, and just all the information I needed, like just dropped right in. Like, how quickly can I get it out of my brain and down on paper and bring it to life, right? And so every time you give yourself that space, you're training your system as well to calm down. So as you get quiet and just breathe, your blood pressure will go down, your immune system will get boosted. It creates a different way of being in your body that creates literally cellular memory, and then empowers you with more energy to move through the rest of your day.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
For me, it's driving. I could, when I'm driving, like 500 thoughts come to my head, and I start. That's my thing. So if somebody says to me right now, "Hey, man, I need you to drive from here to San Fran," I'm up for it, because I know once I'm going there, that's my time that I get to think, that I get to put plans in place that I need to execute once I get to wherever I'm going. So I definitely understand that quiet place, that happy place, or a place where you can where your mind is always, that's when your mind says, okay, let me start downloading, let me get to that inner person and have that conversation with yourself and be true to yourself. It's very true. I know you had a question, Rick.
No, I was actually going to say along the lines of that, I know a lot of people say the same thing about driving. I know a lot of people I talk to is that it's their time, especially when they turn off the radio and, you're just sitting there and you're driving and you're just, no distractions, no one's calling you. So many thoughts can come to your mind. You're like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get home. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be this. Da, da, da. And then you park the car and you get out the car and every last one of those thoughts are gone. You're like, wait I knew I said I was going to do this.
That's what voice memos are all about, my friend.
Exactly.
Siri, remind me. Siri, write this down.
Yup.
She's like, what?
That's what I started going to. Yeah. So when you were on this journey of just learning, so travelers, take a pause real quick. I know we haven't addressed you guys yet in terms of I always like to just to let you know, Michele, to stop and just make sure they're caught up to us as to where we're going on this journey, right? And what we've heard so far today. And for sort of travelers, a couple of things I want to pull out are the fact that, Michele went to the West Coast for a purpose. And through just life and circumstance, it didn't work out the way that she wanted it to work out, to the point where the whole self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, I think we talked about that months ago, we talked about that imposter syndrome, and it caused her to be in a position of needing to do something else because she was, exposed to a coach. And it brought her into this journey of coaching. But one thing I love what you said, Michele, in this journey, and we didn't really harp on this part of it, is that you became dedicated to learning this craft, right? You saw what it did for you and how you broke free from some things that were holding you down. And you said, I'm going to be dedicated to perfecting this craft. And you didn't say anything about I'm perfecting it for the sake of money. You was like, I'm perfecting this for the sake of what it did for me and what I want to be able to do for other people. And I think a lot of people look at things perfect for the monetary gain that they're going to get out of it. But somewhere along the line, money just isn't the sum of everything, right? It's just not that happiness. It's not that thing. And then you end up getting caught up in other things in life, right? So just having that love for the fact of saying, how can I impact other people's lives? She went on this journey and she did this, and now she is where she is now. Michele, what I would love for you to share, a couple of last questions, is share when some on this journey in coaching. Maybe it could have been a client, maybe it could have been just an instance, maybe it could have been a moment of you weren't singing your song, I'm Enough, and it was just like, am I doing the right thing? Like, I didn't get the hypnosis right, this time, like, just share if there's any of those moments where you maybe question, is this the right path that you should be on? And then it's the last question I'll ask you to follow up on that, talk about when it just really clicked and said, no, this is that aha moment that's reaffirming you, saying, no, this is that moment, that where I should be at.
Oh, no, that's great. Of course, I've had my own self-doubt along the last 20 years since hanging out my shingle as a coach. But in all honesty, in one of the first or second, maybe third coach sessions I ever had, it literally was a whole visceral body experience of just like, I call them downloads. I get this like, bing, the ideas just drop in. And it was just like my spirit talking to me going, this is what you're supposed to be doing. I was like, oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll figure it out, and then the same thing happened when I discovered the hypnotherapy, same kind of feeling. And I just knew that this was the next level of mastery for me to obtain. And so when I have those moments of self-doubt and, oh, why isn't this working? I can't get it right. Oh my gosh, right? I just have to pause and breathe and step back into that sensation and trusting the universe, trusting that everything I need is being provided for and that I'm being directed the way that I need to be directed. I could have gone back into corporate America and made a boatload more money, right?
Correct, especially San Fran.
Right. And to me, because of what I went through, I had such a horrible case of corporate PTSD. The thought of that was like death to me. Like I was so afraid to hand my resume to anyone and be judged. It literally, it created such fear and panic and anxiety in me. I couldn't handle it. That's the real reason why I started my own company, because that was less daunting than trying to go get another job somewhere.
Wow.
Right. And so I've learned a lot along the way. I've learned what not to do. I've learned how important it is to ask for help, because you can't do it all by yourself. I'm a little Girl Scout. I'll do it all by myself. Right. And so, and keep trusting and keep listening to my intuition to let it guide me for the sake of being of service. How can I be of service to thousands of people this year? Right? Because money is just an outcome. It's a reward. It's an energy exchange for the work that I'm doing in the world. Right. So when you can flip the script and look at it that way, instead of how can I make $1 million this year? It's like, no, how can I serve 1 million people? And what ripple effect can that create?
Correct.
So yes. For me, I know Ricky has one last question.
No, I'm done with questions. Go ahead.
Okay. For me, it's you're working with so many different people, and this is a lot of people are losing faith in people.
Yes.
Because of all the different trials and tribulations that you see that's going on in the world today. And you're dealing with where you would talk to someone and find out that a person caused another person to be inoperative. How do you navigate through that to still trust people, have the confidence in people, and still want to help people and understand what they're going through?
That's a beautiful question, Marlon. I've always inherently seen the good in people, and I know it's in there to my own detriment sometimes. And so the key is being present with a person, just as they are and just as they aren't, right? And my job as their coach and their hypnotherapist is to be the truth teller. We're like, okay, you got some green stuff in your teeth, right?
Yeah.
That level of candor with people, but from a place of love and compassion. Like you've got this belief that's really holding you back. And is that really serving you? Right. I met recently with someone who is in a loving relationship, but is very controlled in that relationship. But she's so afraid of, her fear of abandonment is so great that the thought of creating a shift is really frightening for her, because she wants to take her power back, but she also has made it really, really clear that she doesn't want to lose her marriage in the process. I'm like, I'm not here to change your marriage. That's completely up to you. But it's about finding the thing that's true for you. And so the challenging part of this work is when someone pulls back that onion skin and they find this brighter, shinier version of themselves. The challenges are the people in their life able to see them that way and continue to love them that way, because the theory of like attracts like, right? The law of attraction. And so negative emotions vibrate at a low frequency, positive emotions vibrate at a higher frequency. So as someone is going through this work, you're peeling off layers, you're starting to raise your vibration higher and higher and higher and higher, right?
And that person match you.
And if the person that you're with, say your partner, isn't willing to do the same level of work, that gap is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually someone has to take themselves away, because scientifically, energetically, they can't stay because the frequency is too far apart. Right? This was such an aha for me when I got divorced. I was like, oh, there's nothing bad or wrong about my ex-husband. He's a lovely human being, but I kept raising my vibration and he just wasn't. It's not a ding on him. He just was where he was doing what he was doing. And he wasn't interested or ready or willing to take the same journey that I was. And the frequency got too disparate and he took himself away. Now, in the moment, it was shattering to me. It was very sad and upsetting, but I've come to learn this deeper meaning of it. I'm like, okay, we were on a journey together for a moment and now we're not. And that's okay.
Went our separate ways. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for going deep, personal life deep for us. Ricky, man, take it home. This has been a beautiful interview for myself, because it gave me another understanding of, from your standpoint, of how a lot of people just say we try to get rid of fear and they just want to get rid of the doubt, but they don't talk about finding all the way and what they have to do to repair the person when they find what's causing doubt. So it was beautiful. Thank you very much, Michele.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate
My sincere pleasure.
And just another level of affirmation, though I know you don't really need it because you got your song going. But
I'm enough.
My phone, my watch dinged as you were just talking, and it was a mindfulness note that popped up. I've never set this setting on my watch. I don't know how it keeps popping up every day. I don't have time to.
It's magic. I do magical things, Ricky.
Yeah, right. Here we go. But here is what it says. It says, as your day ends, take a moment to be present. And after I read that, you said, hey, I need to be present with the people that I'm with. I need to be present with all that. And I'm just like, man, it's just affirmation, more affirmation for people to realize it's like, guys, there is an opportunity for just better, but it takes work, right? It takes work, and it takes intentional work for you to get to that point.
And I hate to tell your folks, it gets uncomfortable, friends.
Yes.
But the uncomfortableness means you're going in the right direction. I always tell my clients, uncomfortable happens. Keep going.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh man, I love it. Well, Michele, we're so grateful to have you on today. Can you just share with our travelers where they can connect with you, whether it may be website, contact information, material, books, whatever it may be? Please share that with them now so that they can reach out.
Yes. Well, you can come to my website, molitor.com. That's Michele with one L, Molitor, MOLITOR.com. And I've got my free self-doubt quizzes there. You can go to the brain candy section. I got free resources. I got masterclasses. I got a new free masterclass launching on February 7th called Taming Your Self-Doubt. So all sorts of fun stuff for people to learn and grow and expand their minds and their hearts.
Love it. And with that, travelers, We will see you guys next week at the same time, the same place on the Success Journey Show. Everyone have a good one. Peace.
All right. One love.
Blessings.
You've been listening to the Success Journey Show, where your dreams, drive, determination, and diligence are the foundation to success. For more information, check out thesuccessjourneyshow.com. The Journey Squad is here helping you to your destination.